It was still early to go to the ghost realm. Although she had external backing now, they would just be too far outstretched if they ventured into the ghost realm. It was useless to be anxious. However, it was not only, the others were thinking the same too. You, when I was playing with Little Lucky, I heard your master and father talking about the ghost realm. It seems that the two of them are going to secretly go over there without telling you. Little Roar expressed his loyalty. Sima Yu was startled. She hurried to Sima Lu Xian's courtyard. She saw two people who were talking stopped when she came in. Father, Master, are you going to secretly go to the ghost realm? She walked over and directly asked. Feng Zhixing blinked, trying to argue, but was interrupted. Little Roar and Little Lucky heard it. One sentence cut off Feng Zhixing's words. We didn't say that we are going, we're just discussing. Sima Lu Xian understood her daughter. She must have known to say that. Father, Master, do you know what Lin said before? She sat down beside them and stared at them. What did he say? He says that only I can save my mother. How could he say such a thing? This was inconsistent with his identity as a divine stick. He loved to say secrets could not be revealed, so he wouldn't say such. Sima Yu took out the 100 Ghosts banner and placed it on the stone table. What is this? Feng Zhixing asked. 100 Ghosts banner. Sima Yu explained the role of the 100 Ghosts banner. Cousin is planning to use this to save mother. Why did Lin say I must have this? In the human realm, what is this use for me to possess it? If others could as well, why does it have to be with me? The two were made speechless by her. They really didn't expect Lin to say such a thing. So, Father, Master, you cannot go to the ghost realm secretly. When the time comes, I will go to the ghost realm to save my mother. Sima Yu stated. If you disagree, I will take extraordinary measures. Sima Lu Xian smiled. Oh. What extraordinary measures will you take? I will let crimson bees watch you, take you to wash and go to the toilet. If you encounter trouble, I can know. If you lose crimson bees, that means you are doing something bad. Sima Yu smiled cunningly. In order to not let them fall into an uncomfortable situation, the two had to promise her that they would not act rashly. That way she did not release her crimson bees to do bad things. However, she promised them that if there is any plan, she would have to take them. Only then did the two parties reach an agreement, and no one would do things behind one's back. Sima Yu got a satisfactory answer before leaving and planned to go with Su Jin and Go Lang to the sect. So after staying at Sima families for more than 10 days, they set off again. They traveled through the inner regions before returning to the sect. She felt a little surprised looking at the familiar scenery while standing at the entrance of the sect again. It seemed that it had been a long, long time since she left here. The sect life seemed to be so far away. Yu? A familiar voice came from behind. Sima Yu turned her head and saw Shui Rong and Ma Bo walking towards the entrance. The voice was a bit hesitant. But when she turned around, Shui Rong ran over excitedly. Is it really you? I'm not sure when I saw your behind just now. It's you. Sima Yu looked at the two of them. You were the first persons I met when I entered the inner sect. You are the first acquaintance I met when I came back. Oh, we are so destined. Shui Rong smiled. Did you just come back? Sima Yu nodded. Master and I came back together. They went back first. When I came back, I met you. Why are you still at the sect? According to their age and strength, they should be able to leave the sect. We are no teachers of the outer sect. Shui Rong replied. It's our 2nd year. Ah, congratulations. I have to call you Teacher Shui and Teacher Ma in the future. Sima Yu chuckled. She knew that some students would choose to stay in school after graduation, but it was difficult. She didn't expect the two to succeed. Don't make fun of us. Both of us have nowhere to go. Shui Rong said. Now you're back, let the people in the academy know, they would probably go crazy. No way, I have been away for a long time. Sima Yu did not believe it. But your name is still famous in the sect. Shui Rong explained. Believe it or not, I yelled your name. Today you don't want to go into the sect today. Those things she did, one after another, had long spread throughout the sect. Whether it was the thing in the dark forest or as the person to turn the tide in Fair Eastern City, they were still talked about. Of course, this was also indispensable for the sect's reputation to let others know such a person came from the sect. It was simply a living signboard. You wouldn't cheat me like that, right? Sima Yu was not worried. Shui Rong and Ma Bo wouldn't hurt their friends. Heh, you guessed it. Shui Rong said. Let's go in. Since you haven't returned for a long time, we could go see the scenery of the sect. Sure. Sima Yu and Little Two followed them into the gate of the sect. The scenery in front of them was still the same, but the students passing by weren't familiar. The things were still there, but the people changed. She hadn't talked to Shui Rong and them for a long time. She and Little Two entered the teleportation array to go to the inner sect. The people who guarded the teleportation array widened their eyes when they saw her. They weren't able to react. After she and Little Two entered the array, did they stammered, was that person just now, Sima Yu? Yes, that's her. Why did she come back suddenly? I didn't even have time to react. A few students just came in from outside and asked, who are you talking about? Who is back? Sima Yu. Sima Yu, what? Sima Yu? The students exclaimed. You said Sima Yu is back? Why are you so surprised? Oh my god. Our idol is really back. I'm going to inform everyone. The student ran out and alerting people that Sima Yu was back as he ran. Soon, everyone in the outer sect knew of her return. The news quickly spread to the inner sect. Seeing the enthusiastic students, she was scared and hurriedly called 1,000 residents out to change her appearance in order to avoid those crazy people. Previous chapter. Next. It was not until Mao Sanquan's office after she separated from 1,000 residents and returned to her original appearance. The people in the room laughed out loud when she saw her patting her chest fearfully. Why are these students so fanatic these days? She let out a long sigh. When she was in the sect, they didn't do that. Why did they go crazy after she left? Heh, you are now the idol of the entire sect. Although many people have never seen you, they are well acquainted with you. Fan Lei smiled. It shouldn't be like this. This is too scary. Sima Yu was helpless. How would she be able to safely walk around the sect with them like that? Why not? Everyone knows the things you did outside. The whole sect knows what you did, especially of when you drove the Ghost Clan back in Fair Eastern City alone. The spectacular thunder tribulation is vivid in the student's tale. Old fellows like us are regretful of not being able to witness. Fan Lei teased. When was she majestic? She was obviously being struck to death. She felt she could not play along. It's not a big deal. You can change your appearance when you go out. Little Tu saw her speechlessness. It can only do. Sigh. She leaned on the hair weakly. Master, it looks like I have to leave earlier. Go to Paramount Valley? Su Jin asked. Sima Yu nodded. I just wanted to see the sect. Now that I've seen it, I naturally have to leave earlier with such a situation. Your brother is getting married. We have to express our wishes. Let us go with you. Su Jin said. You fellow, you just came back, you want to leave again? Aren't you going to abandon the sect stuff to me and old Fan? You cannot. If someone's going, it has to be me. You stay and handle the matters at the sect. Mao Sanquan said nonchalantly. I haven't come back for decades. How would I know how to handle them? Su Jin disagreed. Hey, isn't old Fan here? Let him take care of it for you. Don't think about it, old Mao and I are going. You and Gulang hadn't come back for so long, so it should be in your hands. Fan Lei protested. No, old Su is right. We haven't dealt with these things for so long, trouble might come out if we do them. Only you can deal with it. Gulang disagreed. Besides, old Su is Yu Yu's master, and I am Yu Yu's teacher. Her brother is getting married, of course we will go. Yes, it is better for you to stay here. Right, Yu Yu? Su Jin pulled Sima Yu in. Sima Yu did not expect they would drag her into the argument. She did not intend to participate. She looked toward Mao Sanquan. Instructor Mao, is Principal Yuan okay? Mao Sanquan was visibly taken aback. His face was a little unnatural, then he smiled. He is okay, he sends back news from time to time. Sima Yu understood it was something improper to tell her. Since he was able to remain calm, it meant that it should not be a big problem. Knock knock, there was a knock on the door. Mao Sanquan permitted entry. A man pushed the door open. The first thing he saw was Sima Yu. She really came back. It seemed the news was true. Si Miao, you're back. Everything is ready? Miao Sanquan's voice interrupted Wang Si Miao's thoughts. He nodded to Sima Yu. He walked to Mao Sanquan's desk and handed him the sorted information. We sent people to investigate both places, but we did not encounter them. In addition, the 2 nearby towns were slaughtered clean. His voice was cold as ever, but this time it contained forbearing anger. These people are getting more arrogant. Fan Lei and Mao Sanquan both were furious. What's the matter? Gulang asked. It's the same undead matter. Mao Sanquan said angrily. We didn't care about while they were in the inter-regions before, now they are in the inner regions. It has happened in many places. Undead? Su Jin and Gulang didn't know of this matter. Speaking of this, it was Yu Yu that let people inform us which made us alert. Mao Sanquan explained. I don't know. But in recent years, more and more masters have disappeared, and more civilians have been killed. It seems that they are planning something big. Sima Yu thought of the pile of undead in the spirit pagoda. Was it because they lost a large number of undead, so they are replenishing the numbers? Instructor Mao, can you show me the information? She asked. Mao Sanquan asked Wang Si Miao to pass the information to her. She quickly scanned through it and discovered the strength of the missing person wasn't low, similar to the ones in her spirit pagoda. The places where the incident occurred were in place of low strength and had a majority of civilians. But these places were far from the sect. When the sect rushed over, those people would long escape. The matter has to be solved from the root to be effective. Fan Lei said. Otherwise, they find a place to kill and we chase after them wouldn't be effective. But they come and go like a shadow, we can't do anything. Wang Si Miao expressed. This, Mao Sanquan and Fan Lei both sighed. He was right. They were in the passive now. Principal Fan, Instructor Mao, I have some clues. Sima Yu started. What do you know? Sima Yu told them about seeing an undead at Yang clan and Northern Du clan's place. If I'm not mistaken, this matter was caused by the Yang clan and Northern Du clan. She concluded. When we met with Yang clan, we felt that this was not something that their family could do. That would make sense if Northern Du clan was behind them. This Northern Du clan is a hidden family. Their strength is superb on the continent. Why would they do this? Everyone was in disbelief. Although Northern Du is a hidden family, first they originally harbor evil intentions. Second, I think there are disagreements between the hidden families that cannot be dealt with. At least, I know that Northern Du is not compatible with several families. Thirdly, no one dislikes having more strength. Now that they know of this method, with their family's character, they would pursue this strength and wouldn't care about the life and death of others. Sima Yu guessed these two were related. If this is the case, then the Northern Du clan and Yang clan would become enemies with the entire continent. You have to find evidence first, otherwise they will deny it. As long as we have clues, we would be able to find it. Si Miao, you go arrange this and have them follow Sima Yu's method to investigate. We must find evidence. Mao Sanquan ordered. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Wang Si Miao accepted the order. Sima Yu waited for him to leave before asking Mao Sanquan, has Wang Si Miao graduated? His performance just now was not the performance of an average student. The people in that group have all graduated, and most of them left. He stayed and served as my deputy. Mao Sanquan answered. He has strong ability in managing and staying in the sect is good development. I didn't expect them to all graduate. Sima Yu was nostalgic. I always feel that it hasn't been long since we met. When you came to the sect, they had already reached the standard for graduation. Before, they had thought of staying in the sect for a while, but later they were motivated by your deeds. So they all graduated and went out. Mao Sanquan was emotional. Sima Yu did not stay at the sect for long, but the impact she made on the sect was huge, especially for the students. They cultivated with motivation. When asked why, the boys say that they couldn't be too incompetent compared to their goddess, and the girls say since they are all girls, being too worst would lose face. There were various reasons, but one thing in common was that they admired her endlessly. Sima Yu laughed. She never thought she would become such an existence so soon. Obviously she didn't do anything for the sect, yet she became the target of others' pursuit. One thing she didn't expect was for some, her existence was an inspiration for them. Now let's resume the topic. Yu, who do you plan to go with you? Su Jin asked. Sima Yu got up and saluted to everyone. You decide that amongst yourselves. I'm going back to rest. I won't be back in Heartbreak Valley for several days. You still have a lot of time to discuss. Before they could say anything, she left ahead. Who were they kidding? She wouldn't take on this hot potato. In fact, the results were predictable. Mao Sanquan and them couldn't argue over Su Jin. As for Go Lang, he was stuck in the island for so long, how could he be willing to stay to work in the sect? But she wouldn't say much, otherwise Instructor Mao and them would be angry. She returned to the parting garden with Little Tuesday. It didn't take long for Han Miao Shuang's group to come back. Su Xiaoxiao got into his business and started to clean up the garden. Jiang Junxian went back to his room to sleep. And Han Miao Shuang pulled her along to make food. Little Seven took Qing Yi to tour the sect. After all, she lived here for so many years, and she wanted to show Qing Yi the place she lived. Sima Yu, Little Two, and Han Miao Shuang grouped together to eat. She especially made Little Roar and Little Lucky favorite barbecue as a reward for them to accompany the Shrine Maiden last time. Su Xiaoxiao finished cleaning the entire courtyard before joining them. He picked up the barbecue and started eating. Eating delicious food and chatting, this was too comfortable. Hua Bin did not have a heavy appetite. But this time he also ate more and offered a good compliment. Yu's food is delicious. Little Lucky was small but he ate fast. Little Two, when shall we go back? Hua Bin asked. At least after Paramount Valley. Clan leader did not set a specific time to go back. We are not in a hurry. Little Two answered. Besides, if clan leader is angry, we can say Little Lucky asked for us to accompany him here. Isn't it Little Lucky? Little Lucky rolled his eyes. He nodded. What you said is correct. You are here to protect me, so you cannot leave. Little Two smiled. Hua Bin was depressed. Wasn't this a blatant lie? But Little Lucky's identity was special. As long as he asked, it was hard to decline. Sima Yu smiled and patted Little Lucky's head. Little Lucky smiled at her. She liked it, so he helped her have Little Two stay behind. After 10 days of peace, when she was about to leave, Su Jin and Mao Sanquan had not decided who to go. Sima Yu did not say anything and left behind a bunch of detoxification pills. She took Little Two and Little Seven and them along. The news of her going back had long passed all over in order to let Shiman Feng set the wedding date earlier and prepare the betrothal gifts. Unexpectedly, Shiman Feng sent a message to ask her to hurry back and discuss it together. She had to give up on traveling back and choose a teleportation array. Soon she was in Paramount Valley. The disciples all over the valley were excited learning she came back. Everyone became enthusiastic about working. Sima Yu didn't evade everyone like in the sect. She walked out of the teleportation array and was immediately surrounded by excited disciples. They squeezed her, Little Two, Little Seven and them together. Sima Yu smiled and greeted everyone. She was stuck in the place and couldn't move. In the end, it was Shimin Feng who came out to help her. Since the Valley Master had spoken, who dared to surround her? They reluctantly moved and followed her at a distance. Simon Feng looked at these disciples helplessly. He didn't scold them and took Sima Yu away. These guys are in need of a beating. Afterwards, have them go to the training hall and stay there for a while. Shimin Feng's voice wasn't loud, but the disciples' joyful faces turned bitter. These disciples have become more lively. Sima Yu was not angry. I saw some of them come from Blood Fiend City. In the past, they weren't like that. After merging with Divine Devil Valley, they are better, at the least, they don't look sullen. Shimin Feng commented. Back when Heartbreak Valley was established, the disciples in the valley were from Blood Fiend City besides the rest from Shimin family. The entire valley contained restrained anger. He took a lot of time to restrain them back. The disciples from Divine Devil Valley were more joyful. After merging, the people from the Blood Fiend City gradually changed. Sima Yu nodded happily. This is good. Shimin Feng took her to her courtyard. She changed her clothes. Shall we go and greet the masters and martial uncles? They are all waiting in your courtyard now. We can go straight over. Shimin Feng said. Sima Yu opened her mouth in surprise. How embarrassing it is. I should be the one to visit them when I return. Who told you to go away for so many years? They want to see you soon. Don't let them wait too long. Shimin Feng was somewhat helpless about it. Who let them spoil her? When she got outside, she saw a group of people waiting for her in the courtyard. In addition to Liang Wuming and Old Man Devil, there was Feng Kai, Ni, and others. Of course, Bei Gong Tang and Fatty Chu's group were indispensable. Seeing each other again after so many years, her eyes reddened when she saw these familiar smiling faces. Previous chapter. Next chapter. That day, a group of people stayed in her courtyard very late until Liang Wuming interrupted when she came back to her senses that she needed to rest. Anyways, in this short time, she was not leaving. Thinking about it, everyone agreed this was a place she would be reluctant to leave. Sima Yu let Shimin Feng, Bei Gong Tang, and them stay behind. Fenger, have you and Xiang Yi come to a consensus? When will you get married? How are the preparations for the betrothal? There were fewer people now. She took them to the living room. The betrothal gift has long been prepared. I waited for you to come back before setting the date. She will be here tomorrow. We can set the date together. Shimin Feng showed tenderness when Kong Xiang Yi was mentioned. That's good. You have waited for so many years. The continent has been in chaos recently. If you can get married sooner, then marry sooner. Sima Yu urged. I will go ask them to find some good days tomorrow. After Xiang Yi's back, we can pick a date from it. Sure. Shimin Feng also wanted to get married as soon as possible. He had no comments on her proposal. For invitations, you can send them out when the date is set. The time shouldn't be too tight. You have to give people time to come over. Sima Yu continued. You can use this matter to get closer with other forces. That will give us an extra layer of protection in the future. Yu, do you mean the black-clothed men when you refer to the continent in chaos? Wei Ziqi asked. More than that. Sima Yu replied. The black-robed men are just one aspect. Their main activity is in the inner regions with some in the inter-regions. The most troublesome part is the undead and the chi spirits. Undead and chi spirits? Sima Yu explained the details about the undead and the chi spirits. Although the matter of the chi spirits didn't occur many times, once it starts, I am afraid it will spread to the inner regions. On the other hand, undead had now spread in the inner regions. Everyone frowned. Moreover, the whereabouts of the Sky Splitter Devil Sword is unknown. Many forces have been implicated because of suspicion. In addition, the appearance of an ancient divine beast will cause a lot of unrest. Sima Yu added, as for the strength and area of impact caused by things, we don't need to mention it. I haven't heard of that many things happening. It seems the world is really going chaotic. Shimin Feng sighed. What? Sima Yu felt what he saw was a bit wrong. Shimin Feng pondered for a bit before deciding to let her know. Because of Wu Lingyu, I am more concerned about the devil realm. He glanced at Sima Yu, fearing that she would be angry. Seeing her expression unchanged, he continued, although I don't know what happened there, it has been very turbulent over there recently with constant battles and numerous casualties. Sima Yu was silent for a while before beginning. Lingyu went to the devil realm caused the matter between him and the devil emperor to be brought to the forefront. So that's the case. Shimin Feng knew that there was something between Wu Lingyu and the devil emperor. Now the conjecture was confirmed, his heart felt at ease. In addition, Ghost Realm is going through troubled times with constant fighting. The three realms, human, devil and ghost, are in turmoil. This world seems to be going through a major cleansing. Ouyang Fei frowned. It is just the beginning. I don't know what will become of the future. Under such circumstances, it is impossible to work alone. Bei Gong Tang was worried. We can't stop these things from happening. So what we can do now is upgrade our strength and gain more protection in these troubled times. Sima Yu concluded. Have you all contracted the ancient divine beasts I gave you last time? Those are your words. As soon as I contracted it, my strength was on the rise. Fatty Chu smiled. If there are more such beasts in the future, I won't be afraid of the crane tail. You just want to take the shortcut. Bei Gong Tang glared at him. Haha, this is not a worry. My strength is too low. What if I drag you down? Fatty Chu said. Don't be like that. Your talent is not lower than ours. You're just lazy. Wei Ziqi directly exposed him. Right now, half-heartedly. I did not. Fatty Chu protested in a low voice. It's not too late to change. Sima Yu watched Fatty Chu's aggrieved look and chuckled. You like refining weapons. You can refine more offensive and defensive weapons in the future. This can be considered an improvement in your strength. As for the others, leave it aside for now. I think so too. I will use the remaining time to cultivate. Did you use the thunderbolt bullets I gave you last time? I did. I didn't use it alone. Sima Yu explained that everyone used the thunderbolt bullets to blow up the imprisonment on the island and the Hao clan house into ruins. Seeing them staring at her, she asked, what's wrong? Your senior brothers were right. Wei Ziqi said. No matter where you go, things will happen. Thrilling things happened around you. Unfortunately, our current strength is too low. Although contracting with an ancient divine beast raised us to monarch rank. We can't go with you to Rome. Bei Gong Tang said regretfully. You're at monarch rank? Sima Yu didn't pay attention to their strength. She took a closer look and nodded happily. Your strength has risen very fast. Although Fatty Chu is still at the end of crane tail, he has entered monarch rank. I didn't expect it to be so soon. It's not fast compared to you. Wei Ziqi said. When we were younger, we were about the same level. Now you are several levels above us. I'm also in monarch rank. Sima Yu said. It was just a few levels higher than them. Most people at our age don't have that much strength as us. So don't be upset. That's true. Not to mention the lower continent, in the primordial lands, most people only reached monarch rank when they are over 100 years old. Almost none of them entered monarch rank when they were in their 60s and 70s. Therefore, their talents were good. But Sima Yu at the front, they always felt that they were far behind. As you said, now we still have to improve our strength. Otherwise, when the troubled times come, we won't be able to save our lives. Ouyang Fei said. You all are experts. Get more life-saving things for yourself. Sima Yu pondered for a bit. She took out a bunch of things and stuffed them in their hands. These were all found in Hao clan house. On the second day, Shimen Feng chose a few dates. A few days later, Kong Xiang Yi arrived at Heartbreak Valley. The three people got together and silently discussed for a long time before settling on a day. In order to give others plenty of time, the wedding date was set in 9 months. As soon as the wedding date was determined, Sima Yu and the others began creating invitations and sending them. Soon, news of Shimen Feng was about to get married spread all over the outer, inner and inter regions. Those who received the invitation said they would go, and some who did not receive the invitations were ready to move. After that, Sima Yu stayed in Paramount Valley without going out. Everyone intentionally didn't tell her about what happened outside. They had seen how tired she was for the past few years, so they didn't want to disturb her with these things. Hence, in all these years, these few months were the most peaceful. She chatted with them every day and discussed alchemy, armament, beast taming and arrays and cultivated after. Her life was free and easy. For other matters, she didn't intend to poke her nose in it. After all, there were so many things under the sky and she couldn't do everything herself. For now, all she had to do was to watch Shimen Feng get married. Time flashed past and 9 months passed in a blink of an eye. Just when Sima Yu felt that she was going to be depraved by a carefree lifestyle, Feng Kai, who was in charge of reception, came over. At that point, she was drinking tea while discussing alchemy with Bei Gong Tang and the rest in the courtyard. Boss. Even after so many years, the way Feng Kai addressed her hadn't changed. Yes? There are some matters that we need you to handle. What happened? Did something happen at the reception? The small town outside can't accommodate anyone anymore. Feng Kai replied. Can't accommodate anyone anymore? Why? Didn't we fix up a few houses? Sima Yu had already guessed there would be more people, so she had already ordered them to build more houses. It's not enough. Feng Kai continued. In addition, in the past 2 days, some of them who were uninvited came as well. Why are they here without an invitation? Everyone was curious. They said they'd received help from the boss, so they sent their men over to take a look. Some even came here themselves. Feng Kai continued. Most of them came from the inner regions and they looked like they were from a huge force. Boss, since when did you give grace to others? They might be the ones I rescued from the lost place. Sima Yu continued. Since that's the case, serve them even if they have no invitation. About the accommodation. There were still 3 more days before the Valley Master's wedding ceremony. There wouldn't be enough time to fix up more houses. Inform them and get them to improvise. Sima Yu continued. They wouldn't place too much importance on this if they came here sincerely to wish them well. It'll be fine if you serve them well. After thinking about it, she felt it wasn't enough and said, forget it, let me explain it myself. Those people came here for her. Now that the situation had changed, it was better for her to handle these on her own. Feng Kai and her went outside of the valley, and the small town that welcomed guests was already bustling and lively. They built that initially as they wanted to build Paramount Valley. It was usually empty but was now put to use with Shimin Feng's wedding, and it wasn't enough even if it was extended. Sima Yu went to the place that welcomed guests as she saw some unfamiliar faces waiting in the courtyard. One of the stewards, who was troubled because of the lack of accommodation, quickly put down whatever was in his hands, came over and greeted them the moment he saw Sima Yu and Feng Kai. Sima Yu nodded to him and walked to them, cupping her hands in greeting. "Are you young lady Yu? Sorry to trouble you since we came here uninvited," a guy in white said as he returned his greetings to Sima Yu. "What trouble is there when you guys have come here to attend Fenger's wedding? We can't wait to welcome you." Sima Yu continued, "You guys are. We're the Wang clan from the 20th state. One of our clan elders was able to come back because of young Miss Yu. We're eternally grateful, and have come here to congratulate and join in the liveliness when we heard that the one getting married is in a very close relationship with you." That guy exclaimed. "So it turns out to be Uncle Wang's clan members, welcome welcome." Sima Yu remembered who they were talking about. "Please forgive us for being inconsiderate when you guys have come so far. Young lady Yu, you are too courteous. We don't have enough courtyards left as we didn't calculate thoroughly, so I need you guys to bear with it and stay together." Sima Yu said apologetically. "It's our fault, we troubled you. We're all cultivators, we won't mind. If we stay together, we can also make some friends. Thank you for your understanding." Sima Yu said thankfully. "When the ceremony comes, I'll make sure Fenger gives you guys a toast." "Sure, we'll be waiting then." Haha. Sure. After which, the steward arranged accommodation for these clans, grouping them together so that they could fit in. After that, Sima Yu went to the accommodation of those who had already settled in and told them that more people might join them. Those who were invited were either in close connections with Paramount Valley or Kong Valley, so they wouldn't make things difficult for the host when they knew such a problem arose. They were willing to let others stay with them. The accommodation was settled just like that. Just like what everyone anticipated, there were more people who came without an invitation. Most of them came because of Sima Yu and some came because of the reputation of Paramount Valley. However, regardless of who they came for, they realized that no one could get on Paramount Valley's nerves when they came here. It would be like asking for death as they had so many allies. What surprised everyone the most was that the ancient spirit beast also came to join in, and people gifted them 10 over ancient mines. All these ancient mines were different, and there should be something good inside. Other than these, there was some ancient spirit medicine. Although it wasn't as popular as divine medicine and saint herbs, they were still ancient items, and these items were priceless. All these weren't important. What mattered the most was, why did ancient spirit beasts give Paramount Valley gifts? Ancient spirit beasts hated humans, so why were they willing to come to Paramount Valley? This was more surprising than having hidden families give their blessing. Paramount Valley's power wasn't that strong, but their connections with everyone made others envy. Shimin Feng's wedding would definitely be one of its kind of ceremony in the whole continent. Paramount Valley couldn't stay calm and collected anymore after facing so many guests. Their reputation would fall if the ceremony was bad. Fortunately, Sima Yu had predicted that this would happen and transferred all the chefs of Memory Restaurant from nearby cities and went into the Spirit Pagoda to bring some fruit wine, strong liquor, and spirit fruits. People who could cultivate weren't interested in food, but they loved wine and spirit fruits, so she made all these, and the quality of the ceremony improved by leaps and bounds. Previous chapter. Next. On the big day. The guests almost filled up the whole valley. Paramount Valley's alchemists and poison masters almost fainted from refining so many antidotes. Lucky for them, these events didn't usually happen, as they might faint from having to look at the same pills over and over again. The ceremony started at noon. When the guests were seated, a cry of a phoenix was heard from the entrance of the valley. Is that a phoenix? Everyone thought that the Phoenix clan came at this time of the ceremony. When they lifted their heads, they saw a rainbow phoenix flying above their heads, while 8 uniquely colored phoenixes pulled a carriage that had luxurious blessing decorations while flying in the air. Oh my god, phoenixes are pulling the carriage, this is too extravagant. This is so breathtaking. TSK, she's the only one who can do that. Phoenixes were proud as they had the blood of the divine bird. They would stick their nose up if anyone were to ask for help, but they helped to pull the carriage. If anyone forced them, neither side would win. Worse still, both parties might die. To date, Shimin Feng actually used the method where phoenixes pulled the carriage to represent each clan. This scene wasn't often seen. The rainbow phoenix in the front was bright and beautiful as it flew speedily. Although they noticed that it didn't have a carriage, all the other carriage was pulled according to its path. The other phoenix would fly where it flew. It then landed on the high platform after leading the phoenix for a round. And those phoenixes also landed behind her with the wedding carriage. Rainbow Phoenix transformed into a human form after landing. It was actually a fully grown rainbow bird. After she finished her task and transformed into human form, she flew to Sima Yu, beside Halcyon. A strong wind blew as it lifted the red muslin. Shimin Feng, who wore a long wedding robe, came out from the carriage and turned around as he helped Xiang Yi out of the carriage. Kong Xiang Yi was dressed in a red cape that didn't cover her head. A bashful expression was plastered on her face, and she smiled at Shimin Feng with a smile that infatuated everyone when they looked at her. Big sister Xiang Yi is so beautiful today. Little Seven stood beside Sima Yu while holding her hand. Yu, you'll be even more beautiful when you get married next time. Sima Yu rubbed Little Seven's head as she was secretly looking forward to it. She wondered what kind of wedding he would give her. After both of them came out of the wedding carriage, those phoenixes opened their wings once again, leaving the high platform with the wedding carriage. Xiang Yi walked on the high platform and the appearance of it changed as she waved her hand. There were many lamp posts with red lanterns hanging on it on the empty platform. A big painting was hanging towards the north direction with both the bride and groom painted remarkably true to life. There were also 2 chairs and a table in front of the painting. Let's welcome the next of kin of the groom. The master of ceremonies looked towards Sima Yuyu's direction. Sima Yuyu looked brighter and more beautiful than usual as she wore a formal dress with some light makeup. She held third and Du's hand as they both disappeared from where they were and appeared quietly on the high platform. All the guests had their eyes fixed on the high platform and were shocked, and they saw that Sima Yuyu appeared quietly. With these spatial skills, she could throw them off more than 10 streets away. Please have a seat. The master of ceremonies told both of them. Sima Yuyu and third and Du took a seat. Everyone noticed that Sima Yuyu sat on the main seat on the left while third and Du sat on the second seat on the right. Both their contract beasts then flew over to their side and stood in a row. Everyone found out their status as they didn't cover up their aura. Divine Vermilion Bird, Little Rock the Rock King, Thousand Resonance, and so on. Although it wasn't the first time that they saw their spirit beasts, it was still shocking every time they saw it. Just before the master of ceremonies began the ceremony, a movement suddenly appeared in the space as 2 shadows appeared in front of everyone. Sima Yuyu smiled and stood up upon seeing both of them. Fong Fong, Yuan, why are you guys here? We came here on the master's order. Fong Fong continued, Master knows that it's your little brother's wedding and ordered us to send some gifts. A few boxes appeared in his and Yuan's hands as he spoke and waved his hand. Both of them passed the boxes to the bride and groom as they walked towards them and said in blessing, Fong clan wishes you both a long and happy life together and to be bonded forever. God, we actually get to see someone from the Fong clan. It looks like Paramount Valley has a strong and solid background. Everyone below broke the ice as they looked at Fong Fong and Yuan in admiration. Because of what happened in Lost Place, things had spread throughout the continent regarding what happened to the Lost Place and Fong clan. That was where everyone knew there were other clans that were stronger than hidden families. As they hadn't communicated with the Fong clan before, it made them more mysterious. No one would have thought that they would attend Shimin Fong and Kong Xiang Yi's wedding. Those that were in Lost Place before knew how high Sima Yuyu's status was in Fong clan, and it was because of Sima Yuyu that they attended the wedding. But it was good enough as long as they attended. Now everyone knew that there was another one backing Paramount Valley. If anyone wanted to attack Paramount Valley, they would have to think twice for the sake of the Fong clan. With that, it seemed like they were fixing up an invisible protective umbrella over Paramount Valley. Shimin Fong and Kong Xiang Yi kept the gifts and said, please help us to convey Shimin Feng's gratitude to your master. Both of you please take a seat in the valued guest area and drink some wine. Fong Fong and Yuan took a glance at Sima Yuyu. Seemingly like there was something they wanted to tell her as they nodded and followed the servant down. After they left, there was movement in the space again and a few men with stern faces appeared on the high platform. Before Sima Yuyu got back to her seat, she looked at them and was stunned as she bowed in greeting. Wasn't it these people from White Tiger City, who had brought her to meet Helmsman Tua? I represent the order of the island master of the Lost Place to bring wedding gifts for the newlyweds. They said to Sima Yuyu as they brought out the gifts and passed it to Shimin Fong and Kong Xiang Yi. Thank you for the blessing from Island Master. Shimin Fong and Kong Xiang Yi received the gifts, feeling that the 2 gifts that they received were of high quality. Didn't he go for a tour? Sima Yuyu asked. Yes. But he still knows of the happenings around, especially things involving young Miss Yuyu. The guard replied, my master also passed a message to young Miss Yuyu, saying that he's waiting for you there. Waiting for me? Where? Sima Yuyu frowned. What did Helmsman Tua mean by that? In connection to what he said earlier, where was he waiting for her? What did he mean by that? Where should she go? Yes. The island master said that you'll know in time, the guard replied, since the gifts have been received, I'll take my leave now. Sima Yuyu sent them off as she put down the curiosity in her heart and nodded to the master of ceremonies to signal him to start the ceremony. The ceremony was simple. Because of Sima Yuyu, they arranged the kneeling ritual for bride and groom with a modern twist. After they made their vows, Kong Xiang Yi couldn't help but cry out of happiness. The dishes came while the ritual was ongoing, and everyone was dazzled by the different specials from the memory restaurant. The fragrant smell of wine spread throughout the whole place when the wine was served. Once the ritual ended, Shimin Fong and Kong Xiang Yi went to get changed in preparation to toast to each and every guest. Sima Yuyu and third Aunt Du went along as they were the next of kin for Shimin Fong. Although Shimin Li, who was secluded in Spirit Pagoda, tried to rush to get out before the wedding, she couldn't get up the high platform as an elder. Many people then found out that Shimin Li had a younger sister when they went around for a toast. The sky darkened as they went around toasting their guests. After Sima Yuyu finished drinking, she threw Shimin Fong and Kong Xiang Yi into the bridal room so they could consummate their marriage. With her words, she said that the Shimin clan's population was wilting and they needed to work hard to branch out and increase their population. Then, she brought Shimin Li to have a toast with everyone so she could be familiar with others and ensure a path for her to walk on the continent. Sima Yuyu felt sorry for this younger sister as Shimin Fong and herself couldn't give her a safe environment. In order for her to grow quickly, she had to go into seclusion and even actual combat had to be trained in Spirit Pagoda. Before the wedding, she told Shimin Li that she would go out there to get experience. After all, there were things that couldn't be learned in the Spirit Pagoda. Although Shimonli didn't have any objections to staying in the Spirit Pagoda, she was happier if she could travel around. This made Sima Yuyu guilty. Fortunately, her power increased quite a lot these years. Little Doe gave her back most of the power after it had transformed, and it also became stronger. It should be safe to travel if they sent her more guards to protect her. At this point, she seemed to forget that she had never brought guards out, but she was always worrying about whether something was going to happen to Shimonli when she went out. Shimin Feng laughed at her as she was acting like their mother, which was met by Sima Yuyu rolling her eyes. With this opportunity to push Shimonli out there, everyone would help her for the sake of Paramount Valley if she were to get into trouble in the future. Other than Sima Yuyu and Shimonli, Paramount Valley's high-rank officials also came out to keep them company. This should be enough for the guests' likings. This ceremony ended on the second day. Some of the guests left right after the ceremony while some of the guests went back to the small town below and left after 2 days. When Liang Wuming brought Old Bai to see the guests off, Sima Yuyu was already gone from drinking. This was the first time she had let herself loose and drank so much. Shimonli and Bei Gongtang just finished cleaning her when Sima Lu Xian and Feng Zhixing went into her house. Before the wedding, Shimonli and Sima Lu Xian had met before. After knowing that he was Sima Yuyu's father, he didn't speak much and merely got up to greet them. "How is she?" Sima Lu Xian asked. "She drank too much and has already lost consciousness," Shimonli said. "She had so many things to do these few years and has almost finished solving it. It's time for her to let loose." Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yuyu as she felt sorry for her. Also, she met so many of her friends that she hasn't seen for years, so she didn't moderate her drinking. Violet Water Dragon Clan, Qin Mo and the rest came this time, so she had to accompany so many of them and drank too much. "Father." Sima Yuyu frowned and cried out in pain. Everyone thought she was awake but her eyes were still closed tightly. "Father, I'll definitely get mother out. I will. This girl, when will she be able to live for herself?" Feng Zhixing felt sorry for her. "It's my fault for being useless, that's why she has all these burdens on her." Sima Lu Xian blamed himself. Why would she need to go through all this pain if father was stronger? Feng Zhixing sighed. When would he stop blaming himself? But there were some things that could only be done by her. There was no way for them to help even if they wanted to. A day passed and Sima Yuyu woke up. She had a hangover and it felt like her head was going to split. She ate a pill that would dissipate the effect of alcohol and got out after she felt better. "You're finally awake." Bei Gongtang was going out and almost bumped into her at the door. "Bei Gong, what's the situation out there?" She rubbed her temple. "The guests are almost gone." Bei Gongtang continued. "Second Valley Master was saying that someone was going to travel around. Shimonli was thinking of going together, so she got me to see if you're awake. If you're awake, you can give me some idea." "Where are they?" Sima Yuyu asked. "Second Valley Master's courtyard." "I'll go take a look." Sima Yuyu disappeared in a flash and appeared in Shimonli's courtyard. Shimin Feng, Kong Xiangyi and Shimonli were talking in the courtyard. Shimonli's eyes brightened upon seeing her and she ran towards her and held her arms. "Elder sister, you're here at the right time. Second brother doesn't want to let me go." "Elder sister, are you alright?" Shimin Feng asked her in concern as she didn't look well. He knew Sima Yuyu put in a lot of effort for his wedding as she still drank with the guests even after they left and collapsed from drinking. "I'm fine." Sima Yuyu continued. "With regards to Lear's traveling, I'm the one who suggested it. She has been in the Spirit Pagoda for so long and it's time for her to get some experience from outside. But it's so messy outside." Shimin Feng was worried. "It's alright now." Sima Yuyu continued. "She has to get out there soon or later. Moreover, she is capable of protecting herself. After all, she came out from Spirit Pagoda. See, second brother, I told you I'd be fine." Shimonli threw her head back proudly. She had been in the Spirit Pagoda for a decade, which would be a few hundred years worth of time in Spirit Pagoda. In addition to Sima Yuyu's nurturing, she was good in all ways. The only thing she lacked was the real experience and wisdom of the world. Shimin Feng didn't know of Shimonli's capability so he was worried for her. However, since Sima Yuyu agreed to let her go out, he had nothing else to say. Sima Yuyu asked Shimonli over so she could put a part of her divine senses in her mind, like how Feng Zhixing did to protect her. Her divine senses would come out to protect Shimonli if she got into any trouble. She could sense it from her side at the same time. She then called out Little Roar to go with her. Although Little Roar was a little unreliable, his pure nature could help Shimonli grow quickly. Little Roar happily accepted the important mission that Sima Yuyu gave him and promised that he would protect Shimonli. Despite that, Sima Yuyu knew this guy just wanted to go out to have fun. Previous chapter. Shimonli carried Little Roar happily and left as Shimin Feng shook his head helplessly. "She has to grow on her own." Sima Yuyu explained. "She has to pave her own way since we can only do so much for her." "I understand. It's just that I didn't think it would be this fast," Shimin Feng said. "She will have to leave sooner or later." Sima Yuyu continued. "I'll get Crimson Flame to pass down the order to get all the bird clans to be alert and keep watch for her safety. However, they will only take action if it's life-threatening. Aside from that, you just have to send someone in the dark to protect her. After your wedding, I'm guessing that no one would try to offend Paramount Valley. I'll notify Kong Valley as well," Kong Xiangyi said. "Sure, since you're Lear's sister-in-law, I won't stand on ceremony anymore." Sima Yuyu nodded. Martial Uncle said that Fenger doesn't have to handle the valley's problems for the next few days. Bring Xiang Yi around if you have the time, or traveling around will be nice as well. Take it as a honeymoon. After she spoke, she even purposefully took a look at Kong Xiang Yi's stomach. Kong Xiang Yi's face instantly blushed. I'm going to take a rest now, you guys can go ahead and do it. Sima Yu turned and left the courtyard after she spoke, leaving the both of them as they looked at each other. Sima Yu didn't go back to her courtyard. She went to Su Jin's place as she knew they hadn't gone back. She met Great Master Ji and Child on the way. They were on their way to catch a poisonous snake to study it as they smiled and greeted her. Sima Yu hadn't seen him after Great Master Ji got here. She asked around about him, but everyone told her that he was running around the valley when he got here and those poisonous creatures were going to hide upon seeing him. Great Master Ji, although the environment here is not as good as the Lost Place, are you used to it? She asked smilingly. How is it not better than Lost Place? This place is much better than the Lost Place. There are so many poisonous creatures that only exist here that I hadn't seen before. Great Master Ji was in a good mood. Hehe, you weren't lying when you said this place would suit me more. As long as you're happy here. Paramount Valley would be benefiting if he could research and get any poison out of it. It's better not to bring little child to look for poisonous creatures as it is dangerous in the valley. True. Help me bring him back. Great Master Ji patted the little child's head and the little child went to Sima Yu's side obediently. He went into the deeper part of the valley alone. Let's go. Sima Yu brought the little child back and went to look for Su Jin. In the courtyard of visitors, Su Jin, Mao Sanquan, Go Lang and Fan Lei came. She didn't give them only 2 or 3 antidotes because she predicted that this would happen. In the courtyard, they were talking to Ouyang Fei but they stopped when she stepped in. Master, Teacher Go Lang, Principal Fan, Instructor Mao. She bowed in greeting. You're finally awake, I haven't seen you drink before. Jiang Junxian said with a faint concern. I'm too happy. Sima Yu smiled, I won't drink so much when you and senior sister get married, I'll make sure I'm sober enough to crash your bridal room. Little junior sister, what are you talking about? Han Miao Shuang glared at her with a blushing face. Didn't you say that yourself? You'll get married after we find Master. Sima Yu blinked, did I remember wrong? Xiao Xiao, you heard that too, right? They did say that. Xiao Xiao nodded honestly. You guys. Han Miao Shuang extended her hand to hit Su Xiao Xiao with embarrassment. Jun Xian has already told us about this. Since you guys have already discussed it, Master won't comment on it. You guys look for a date to get it done. Su Jin continued, if you guys are thinking that I'll plan a grand wedding like how Sima Yu put in so much effort and energy, I won't do it. This was too tiring, they felt exhausted just by seeing how Sima Yu was. We don't want too much trouble too, we just want the Master to be our witness. Jiang Junxian answered. He actually wanted a wedding ceremony as well because Han Miao Shuang's eyes were filled with envy while looking at Shiman Feng and Kong Xiang Yi's wedding. However, even if he couldn't give her a wedding like this, giving her an original and simple wedding would be fine too. Han Miao Shuang didn't agree either. Although she envied Kong Xiang Yi, she knew that not everyone could have it that way. She simply wanted to be with Jiang Junxian. It's a must to have a wedding, relatives and friends are a must to invite if you don't want to invite the others. Sima Yu continued, let's do this, let's do a small-scale wedding, let the members of the valley handle this, you guys just wait to get married. How long would it be? Fan Lei asked. These elders were out here with nobody watching the academy. If you guys don't want to invite other guests, it'll take a few days. Are you alright with it? I'll only invite Qiu Shuang and Qian Ji. Forget about the Jiang clan. I only want you guys there. Han Miao Shuang was also thrown out by her clan and never once kept in contact with her clan. Qiu Shuang and Qian Ji are in the valley, so we won't have to wait for guests. 10 days should be enough. Sima Yu estimated the time to be around there. Anyway, the guests are all here. Let's keep it simple. Han Miao Shuang had no objections. We'll have to trouble little junior sister then. Jiang Junxian looked at Sima Yu gratefully. What's there to be grateful for? Sima Yu continued, alright, you guys just wait peacefully, Bei Gong, come and make the arrangements with me. Sure. I love doing this kind of thing. Bei Gong Tang smiled in reply. Sima Yu stared at her, seeing how you're excited, you can't wait to get married as well? Get lost. I won't marry even after you're married. Bei Gong Tang twirled her hand around her to tickle her. Oh really? Ouyang, what do you think? Sima Yu was dodging while asking Ouyang Fei. Why did you ask that fool about my matters? Bei Gong Tang flustered. Since when did Ouyang have a new nickname? It's only for you to address him that way, right? Sima Yu dodged her and ran out while Bei Gong Tang chased after her. Fool. Ouyang, is there something good that you didn't tell us about? Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu chased after Ouyang Fei while hitting him. Both of them did a good job in keeping secrets. They wouldn't have known if Sima Yu didn't tell them. Ouyang Fei flashed far away from both of them and said with an indifferent face, you guys didn't notice it yourselves, bad observation skills. Don't these words seem like he's asking for a beating? Fatty Chu questioned. It does. Wei Ziqi answered. So both of them gave chase. Previous chapter. There were still a few more days before they were going to get married and Han Miao Shuang suddenly felt a little anxious. However, Sima Yu wouldn't tell her anything, not even those from Paramount Valley. She felt rather anxious from waiting. Sima Yu told her that they were just pre-wedding jitters, and she would be fine once she found something to do, like giving Jiang Junxian something to do personally, or making something for the newlyweds to wear. As such, she, who had never picked up a needle in her life, ran over to the tailor to learn how to make clothes. Third Aunt Du had always been the one in charge at the tailor, so when she knew that she wanted to learn how to sew, Third Aunt Du found a seamstress to teach her. This helped her calm her fuddled mind somewhat. As for Sima Yu's side, she carried on like wildfire. She decorated the wedding location and bought all the necessary things. Sima Yu even pulled Fatty Chu along to refine a tool that would allow her to make a multi-layered cake. It was a good thing that they had bought a lot of things for Shimin Feng's wedding and there was still a lot remaining. Sima Yu used all of those things and set up the decorations in a modern style. Then, she took Han Miao Shuang's measurements and made a set of wedding clothes for her. She had personally designed the wedding dress and it was very different from the phoenix designs of this era. It was a good thing that these seamstresses were good at their work and quickly understood what she wanted. They began to work according to her requests. Fatty Chu and the others were fine and wanted to help, but Sima Yu chased them away saying that they would only get in the way. They watched as she, Bei Gongtang and the others ran around and were curious as to how a wedding was planned. However, this time, she rejected the help of every single male and would not tell them whenever she needed help. The only male who was in the know was Jiang Junxian, but he wouldn't reveal a single word about the wedding. He would only tell them vague things like how they would find out when the time came. It was because of this that everyone became even more curious. All the way to the end, every single disciple of Paramount Valley became expectant. It was rare for their Vice Valley master to get involved in things, but whatever she did would definitely not be substandard. As everyone held their various expectations, the day of the wedding finally came. Sima Yu had already told the members of the valley one day before that they would go to the sides of the valley to watch, but they could not mess around. The important members of the valley received invitations and they had assigned seats. As such, on the morning of the wedding, those from Paramount Valley crowded around the two sides of the valley and looked at the scene which resembled a sea of flowers. Everyone even thought that they had entered an illusion. As for the two sides of the canyon, she had set up many purple veils. There were those that were casually tossed onto the trees and some that hung between two walls. As the wind blew, the sky turned into a purple ocean. In the middle of the sea of flowers, there was an empty plot of land. Within the empty space were 100 white-colored chairs. In its center was a wide walkway, paved with flower petals of a myriad of colors. On the end of the walkway was a floral arch, while the other end had a little platform. There was a simple stone table placed on that platform, and behind it they placed an oil painting of the sea. There was even the silhouette of a couple holding hands on the beach. Heavens be damned, this is too dreamy. The disciples from the valley were all shocked by this scene. If this scene took place in the modern times, it would look like any other ordinary wedding. However, in this place, it was the one and only. I didn't know that the bride would be this type of person. I'm guessing she's different from all the other brides. You know she's different based on this setup alone. The moment that Vice Valley Master gets involved, we should know. Let's wait then, the bride should be coming soon. When the appointed time came, those who had received invitations started to stream in. They took their seats based on what was written on their invitations. It was at this moment that music started to play. This music was different from before. It brought a sense of joy to those who listened to it, and only then did everyone finally notice the lady standing at the periphery of the compound in long lavender skirts. Every one of those ladies held a sound stone in their hand and were inserting spirit energy into it at the same time. The music played at the same time, and played loud and clearly in this manner. Everyone was incredibly curious when they saw this unique scene. Fenger, just what is your older sister doing? Liang Wuming and Shimin Feng sat together and inclined their heads to the side as they asked. I don't have a clue either. Shimin Feng was also extremely curious. Oh. She's your sister and even Xiang Yi went to help her. Didn't they tell you anything? Liang Wuming was puzzled. Not a thing. She said that she wanted to keep it a secret and wouldn't tell even me. Shimin Feng was helpless as well, so there was no need to talk about anyone else. Even his closest person wouldn't tell him. Your sister has a lot of weird ideas in her head. Liang Wuming laughed, this is the first time I've ever seen this kind of wedding. Now I'm rather curious towards the couple. Me too. Shimin Feng laughed in reply. As for the bride that everyone was excitedly waiting for, she was currently looking at the wedding dress before her with an awkward smile. Junior sister, are you certain that this is the wedding garment you have prepared for me? She held the cloth in her hands. It really was. Extremely embarrassing. Senior sister, I designed this personally for you and got the seamstresses to sew this wedding dress for you over many days. Sima Yu packed both hands on her waist, looking as if she was going to start fighting if she didn't start putting it on. But isn't it too revealing? Han Miao Shuang still didn't want to do it. It's not. This is the most conservative one I designed. You're not showing much skin. Sima Yu said, once you put it on, you'll know the result. Bei Gongtang was standing by the side as she explained with a laugh, Sister Miao Shuang, we've seen the dress before. It's not too revealing, you can relax. Compared to Sima Yu, Han Miao Shuang clearly trusted Bei Gongtang's words a lot more. Only after hearing her speak thus did she unwillingly change into her wedding dress. After she put it on, Sima Yu pulled her in front of the mirror and even she was stunned. She saw the long violet dress clinging tightly to her body, curving around her right hip before falling around her legs in layers. It made her look enchanting as well as magically princess-like. Little bits of diamonds were embedded in the skirt, and they sparkled as the sun shone down on them. This. Everyone's breathing slowed, afraid to ruin the beautiful scene. I initially wanted to use white, because my favorite wedding dresses are white. However, I finally chose your favorite color, violet. Sima Yu said from the side, how is it, my design isn't bad, is it? Beautiful. Han Miaoshuang smiled as she nodded, it's just that this arm isn't covered by a sleeve, so it feels strange. There's this. Sima Yu went to a corner and took a laced glove for her to put on. Only a little bit below her shoulder remained. And this. Sima Yu waved the wedding veil in her hand, you can only put this on once you're done with your hair. I'll help you do your hair now. She quickly helped Han Miaoshuang to put her hair in a bridal hairstyle before placing her wedding veil on. The front of it fell nicely at her chest while the back of it dragged along the floor behind her, along with the back of her wedding dress. This really doesn't look revealing anymore. Alright, the bride is ready and we can go get you married. Sima Yu looked happily at the stunning bride and felt like she had done a pretty good job. Previous chapter. The guests waited and waited, but they didn't see the bride appear. They first saw the bridegroom dressed in an azure blue robes. The bridegroom wasn't in red. Oh, they wondered what the bride would look like. At this time, Old Man Devil came to the stone table and announced, guests, I have been entrusted by my previous disciple to host this wedding or something like that. After living for such a long time, I have never done something like this before. To be honest, this is also the first time I have seen a wedding like this, and it's rather interesting, so I have come to join in the fun as well. Hey, don't laugh. However, everyone was roaring with laughter. Humph, I know. You're only laughing because you're jealous. Old Man Devil rolled his eyes at them before continuing. The music changed at this point, and they were playing the wedding march of the past. This was the first time that everyone had heard it, and they felt that it was rather refreshing. Jiang Junxian came to the stage and nodded his head lightly at the people below. Oh, Junxian, you are the senior brother of my disciple, so I can be considered as your senior, right? Jiang Junxian nodded. Seeing the smile on Old Man Devil's face, he wondered why he had a bad feeling. That's good. Old Man Devil said, then, right now, I am going to represent everyone as I ask you a few questions. You have to answer them well. Alright. When did you fall for Han Miaoshuang? Or should we ask, when did you realize this? He was supposed to say it in front of everyone. Jiang Junxian was frustrated, he just knew that the fact that Sima Yu had asked Old Man Devil to come meant that nothing good was going to happen. He didn't want to say it, but since so many pairs of eyes were on him, it seemed like he had no choice but to say it. Old Man Devil could see through him as he threatened, You said that if you don't answer my questions properly tonight, you won't get to meet your bride. Junior sister was, fierce enough. I have known Han Miaoshuang for many years. As to when I realized I fell for her, this. As Bei Gongtang led Han Miaoshuang in, she heard an explosive laughter from the scene along with Jian Junxian's cries for mercy. Really, this question can be considered to be answered. His voice was a lot more candid than before, not as reserved as when it began. Haha, although this answer has not been very satisfactory, taking into account the fact that you are the bridegroom today, we will let you off for the time being. Old Man Devil saw that Sima Yu had already appeared behind the group and stopped making it difficult for her. Our bride has already appeared, so I invite her master to lead her through the arch. Han Miaoshuang was rather nervous as Su Jin walked beside her. She held on to his hand, her body a little stiff. You look beautiful today, don't be nervous. They're all people you know. Su Jin patted her hand and it was rare for him to be so gentle. Thank you, master. Han Miaoshuang smiled at him, the nervousness in her heart fading. They walked under the arch and waited. When everyone turned around, they finally saw Han Miaoshuang clearly. It was such a strange dress, but it looked so much better than the average phoenix designs. Jiang Junxian's breath hitched when he saw her violet silhouette, and his smile deepened subconsciously. Old Man Devil let Jiang Junxian walk forward to receive his bride. He took her hand from Su Jin's and led her to the stage. Following which, Old Man Devil got the both to make their vows and went in accordance with the modern wedding program flow that Sima Yu wanted. Bei Gongtang and Sima Yu were standing at the back and Bei Gongtang asked, how did you think of this type of wedding ceremony? It was hard for Sima Yu to say that it was common in her past life, so she just replied, this is pretty romantic. What filled her with regret was that some things couldn't be too modern. Otherwise, if she could put Jiang Junxian in a swallow-tailed suit, that would be even more eye-catching. The front of the wedding procession went by very well, but when it was time to kill the bride and bridegroom went stiff. Finally, as everyone was heckling them, Jiang Junxian refused to compromise as he took Han Miaoshuang and fled the wedding scene directly. As to where they went or what they did, nobody knew. Senior brother has actually always been the shy type. It's already pretty good for him to have made it as far as he did today. You should have seen how red his face was. TSK, after knowing him for such a long time, this was still the first time I saw him that way. You look like you did it on purpose. How well a man can treat a woman depends on how far he can go for this. I already picked and chose only some parts of it for him. If I let him go through the whole thing, he would probably chase me down and beat me up later. What do you mean when you say the whole thing? The whole thing? Well, from the moment he goes to receive the bride. Sima Yu told her about the whole thing, starting from the gate crash all the way to the consummation, causing Bei Gongtang to smile awkwardly by the end. When Sima Yu finished speaking, she even added on, we'll go through the whole thing once you and Ouyang Fei get married. What are you saying? Bei Gongtang immediately blushed and glared at her in a huff. Hehe, what is there that's impossible? If you keep talking about this, I won't speak to you anymore. Yu, isn't that Wang Ximiao? Sima Yu looked over and really did see a guard walking in with Wang Ximiao. Isn't he in the academy? What's he doing here? Could he be looking for Directory Mao and the others? Let's go over and take a look. Her first thought was that he had discovered something, however, it didn't really seem to be the case when she thought harder about it. The Yang and Northern Du clan were not any small powers. It wasn't too possible for them to have found out something during such a short period of time. However, since he had come over during this period of time, it probably wasn't a small issue. However, she was pretty certain that it had something to do with the undead. The guard led Wang Si Miao in. When he saw Sima Yu, he bowed in greeting, saying, "Deputy Valley Master, this lord came to our teleportation array and said that he is from the Heavenly Sect. He is looking for you and Director Mao." "I got it, you can head down." Sima Yu nodded to the guard and he left immediately with a turn. Wang Si Mia looked at the romantically decorated valley and said, "I shouldn't be interrupting some joyous occasion of yours, right? It's my senior's wedding. It's already over. Director Mao and the others are up ahead, let me take you there." Sima Yu led him towards the location of the wedding and asked, "What did you find out?" Wang Si Miao nodded his head before shaking it. He answered solemnly, "Something's happened." Sima Yu saw the way he was acting and knew that the issue wasn't small, so she didn't delay and got Bei Gong Tang to go over to call Mao Sanquan, Fan Lei and the others. She also called Shimen Feng and Liang Wu Ming along the way before returning to the guest courtyards that they were staying in. On the way there, they didn't talk about the undead at all in fear that others would hear and end up causing public panic. Hence, they talked about other things. When they returned to the courtyard, Sima Yu casually set up a barrier as Mao Sanquan asked, "What happened?" "Director Mao, a city has been slaughtered." Wang Si Miao said, "We have also received news that the next city is right next door." "A city massacre?" "They actually massacred another city." Sima Yu frowned, "It seems like they are in desperate need of blood." "Are you certain that the next city is right next door?" "I can't be certain. It's just that as those people left, they mentioned that Paramount Valley was quite lively and wondered if they should go and join in the fun. They even said that Yu had returned and so on. Based on their latest movements, it's possible that they have an eye on this place." "Yu, do you have any feud with them?" Gulang asked. "Something like that. The Yang clan and I have some past grievances." Sima Yu told them about what happened between her and Yang Shi, along with how she had killed them and tossed them into the desert. She also told them about her participation in the Great Spirit Stone Gathering and how the Yang clan had obtained so many corpses. "It seems then that the Yang clan still doesn't know that you know about the undead. If it's like you say, then they should be acting this way to help Yang Si take revenge." Mao Sanquan said. "Although they have no evidence, I really did kill her. For a power as big as theirs, even without evidence, they will definitely be able to push the blame onto me. The wedding this time was such a grand event, so it was a matter of course that it would draw their attention." Sima Yu was not surprised that the Yang clan would do this. In any case, as long as she was still alive, they would not give up on her. It was just that she had no idea what they would do. Those huge clans really enjoy doing these types of things. Su Jin sneered. He really looked down on them. "Si Miao, continue keeping an eye on the Yang and Northern Du clan. If you receive any news, send it to Yu immediately." "Alright. Fenger, we have to act as well. Since they dare to encroach on our territory, we have to make sure they can't walk away so easily." "I have the same idea." Shimen Feng's expression was ugly. They dared to plot against his sister? They were simply asking for death. "It's not as easy as you think." Sima Yu put out their ideas at this time. "Why?" "Earlier when I was in the ancient mines, I was puzzled. The first time I met the Yang clansmen, I didn't sense any undead aura, so why did it appear later on? Later on, after what happened with Northern Du Hao, I finally understood that they kept the undead in their interspatial rings." Sima Yu said, "The interspatial ring isolates the death aura, so even if you're by that person's side, you won't know that they hold the undead. The undead had no life in them and had no need to breathe, so they could be placed in the interspatial ring." At that time, when she had found out about this, she even experimented on a few undead. In the end, her guess was completely accurate. If that's the case, it will be really difficult to find any trails. If you want to find them, you will always be able to find the tiniest traces. Shimen Feng said, "We just have to send more people. That would be too much wastage of our manpower." Sima Yu disagreed. "I have another idea." "What's your idea?" "Aren't they coming to us? We'll just let them find us then." Sima Yu said, "You want to use yourself as bait?" "Yes." "No way." The entire house was filled with disagreement. Shimen Feng, Su Jin and the others didn't agree either. "It's too dangerous for you to appear." Mao Sanquan didn't agree. "You guys can relax. I have my assurances." Sima Yu said, "No matter how many undead they send, they can't do anything to me. They can't even get close to me. That still won't do. Fenger, I have ghost aura in my body along with crimson flames fire and the lightning calamity. These are all the antithesis of those undead. That is why I have the ability to harm them and preserve myself. I didn't say that I wouldn't bring anyone with me either, did I?" Sima Yu nagged, "If they have already come to our doorstep and we don't hurry up to get rid of them, there will be many more helpless people who will be implicated. I'm sure you don't want something like a city massacre to happen again. But I'll just bring more people with me when the time comes." Shimen Feng knew that she had already made her decision when she said this, so he could only remain silent. "What do you plan to do?" "Very simple." A few days later, Sima Yu left Heartbreak Valley and went to stay as a guest over at the Qin clan. She was good friends with Qin Mo, so everyone welcomed her. However, Qin Mo did not return to the Qin clan. He was still around Heartbreak Valley settling some things. When he heard that she had come to find him, he was a little surprised and hurried over to receive her. "Qin Mo, I have come to ask you for help." These were the first words Sima Yu said to him the moment she saw him, giving him a scare. What's wrong? Nothing much, I just want to invite you to accompany me to play and walk around. Alright. For the next few days, Qin Mo let go of the things he was handling and accompanied Sima Yu around the city. They bought some things, ate some good food and were extremely leisurely. After playing around, they bid their farewells and she, with her servant girl Enlei, slowly returned to Heartbreak Valley. Enlei, are you afraid? Sima Yu asked. Enlei shook her head, my life was given to me by young Mississippi. I am afraid of nothing as I follow you. Didn't you say that you had things to do? Once this situation is settled, you can go and do your things. Sima Yu said. Young miss, the things I want to do cannot be done right now. I want to get my mother's ashes from the Eastern Lai clan cemetery. However, I'm afraid that I cannot return at this moment. Enlei said, because I killed Eastern Lai Li? Sima Yu was taken aback before she said apologetically, I dragged you down. Young miss, what are you saying? To be able to follow young miss is the best decision I have ever made in my lifetime. If mother knew, she would definitely be happy for me. As to where she is, she should not mind too much. Enlei comforted her instead. Once there's a chance, we will retrieve your mother's remains. We have already gone to the Xianqiu clan, why not to the Eastern Lai clan as well? Sima Yu promised. Young miss. Enlei's eyes were rather red. We're going to run into some trouble, you better not cry now. Sima Yu laughed. She had just spoken when a few silhouettes appeared from the mountain before her. Their malicious eyes glared at her and they waited as she slowly walked closer to them.